We're coming in hot today, man, talking about the depth chart, the unofficial one, and a first and second year player that had a good day today. We'll do it in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
There's not one lie told when she says your team every day, because that's who we are at Locked On Jaguars, and we thank you for making us your first listen. Slide on over to YouTube and watch us do this podcast at the Locked On Jaguars page. Make sure when you get there, you subscribe. Then I want you to hit the like button. Then I want you to hit the bell so you receive notifications each and every time we drop an episode. Wherever you listen to your podcast, whether you're at work, in your car, cooking, doing whatever, make sure you get to that location each and every day so you don't miss an episode. Also, LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. It applies to me when everydayers come up to me and say, we saw your show. So guess what? We give a special shout out to an everydayer who came from Europe, who's hanging out in the United States. My man, Mo Freeman. We put eyes on each other for the first time. Embrace, that's my guy. Make sure you check Mo out too, man. He's a big Jaguar fan, doing it all the way from Ramstein, Germany. All right, most of y'all are either stateside or some of y'all right down the street from me. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about a Ventrell Miller update, and it does not involve being hurt. Ventrell Miller is looking like the all-SEC type player he was in college, and now he has a chance once he's healthy and been in that strength and conditioning program for a year. He looks very, very good. I think he's in the too deep, and I think he's going to help this football team. Brian Thomas Jr., the number one pick, got open deep on multiple occasions at practice and training camp today. Talk about that development and tell you some of the things that he said after practice when he spoke to the media, answered the questions. We'll go through all of that stuff and give it to you. All right, but we're going to get to the unofficial depth chart. And to quote Ryan Neilsen, or to paraphrase something that defense coordinator Ryan Neilsen said before practice, that thing is drawn up in sand, which means it could change at any minute. It is a day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour progress, but you got to put something on paper. So that's exactly what the Jacksonville Jaguars have done. I was a little bit surprised by a couple of the things that we did see on the depth chart. Now, I'm going to warn y'all, the unofficial depth chart, right? It's not like the way too early version of the depth chart, but what it is it's the unofficial depth chart. I'm telling you, it could change in a heartbeat. It could change in a second. This particular depth chart, if you've been to practice and if you know how the league is run today, the way things are run is, look, they're getting out here and they're looking like they're in a 4-2-5. All right. They look like they're in a 4-2-5. Well, they are a base 4-3 team, but it looks like a 4-2-5 because there's so much nickel in the National Football League these days. If you see something at practice and it doesn't jive up with what we're doing here, don't worry about it. Ryan Neilsen said if you're on the roster, you're a starter. That's just the way it is. And you know what? I subscribe to that because it is hard to make it in the National Football League, man. There's some good football players that aren't going to make this team, that aren't going to make this roster. So if you're on the roster, if you're a part of that 53, and even with the practice squad, you're a starter. You got to be ready to go, got to be ready to play. But on this unofficial depth chart, they list 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and then 5 DBs. So when you add that up, I don't know what county y'all went to school in, but in Duval County, that's 13 people. So you have to take it, all of it in with a little bit of a grain of salt. But I do like the fact that they're mixing and matching and getting guys on the field And they're saying that it's fluid. It can change at any minute depending on what the team's doing, how we feel, and what's going on with it. So we're going to get to it. I'm going to start naming. I'm going to start a little bit with this offense. It'll carry over. The defense is going to carry over to segment 2. And then we'll get into talking about those guys individually. But so far, so good. Everything looks good. I was talking to a former player today, and he was sitting there telling me they should be happy with their roster. I said, yeah, they should be. They built it, right? They built it, and we were within an earshot of GM Trent Baalke. He came over and had a little unofficial banter with us. I'm not going to tell you what he said and what he didn't say and all of that stuff, but I will give you the crux of the whole thing and give you a little bit of an overview because it kind of goes along. He listened more than anything, and what I think the way he's looking, it's going down the road of the way I feel. Let's go with offense. You know your quarterback is Trevor Lawrence. The backup's Mac Jones. Stop with all this C.J. Beathard stuff. Mac Jones is going to be the backup. The running backs, Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Dearness Johnson, in that order. Everybody talking about Keelan Robinson as a shoe-in to make the team. Don't know that. Right now, he's running 4th behind Jalen Johnson. The starting wide receivers, according to this depth chart, Kirk, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr. Of course they are. 2 tight ends are starting on this. And they also have 13 people, by the way. I believe they have 13 people. Let me count that real quick. Let's see. 6. 10, no, they got 12. They got 12 people. And the defense also has 12. So it's not 13, it's 12. So see, that Duval County math kind of messed me up a little bit. They have 12 starters, okay? And they have 2 tight ends, Evan Ingram and Luke Farrell. I will get on to that in just a second. Right tackle Anton Harrison, left tackle Cam Robinson. Then we go Ezra Cleveland, Mitch Morse, and Brendan Scherf. Doesn't surprise anybody. Doesn't surprise anybody at all. Now, if there are some surprises or little bits of surprise, of course, you got Parker Washington and Devin Duvernay backing up. They have Parker backing up Christian Kirk. Devin Duvernay running behind Brian Thomas Jr. Elijah Cooks right now looks like number 6. We discussed that last week. Walker Little is listed right behind Cam Robinson at left tackle. Then you go Blake Hance, Luke Fortner, Cooper Hodges, who I think is going to make it, and Javon Foster is backing up Anton at right tackle. So no huge surprises, but I will say this. If Brenton Strange going into year 2, Brenton Strange ain't taking Luke Farrell's job, and he's definitely not taking Evan Ingram's. We starting to look a little sideways at that Brenton Strange pick. If you aren't somebody who's already doing that, you definitely going to be doing it right now because he's not cracking the starting lineup. He's in the 2 deep. But when you have a guy who's a 2nd round pick, you kind of expect him to kind of bully people out of the way. He might end up being good enough that after this year, when I think they have to make a decision on Luke Farrell, then Brent Strange might be good enough at that point to say, nah, we ain't going to spend the money. We're going to use some money somewhere else. We're going to use Strange. But he has to play well. He has to earn his keep. It's all about competition. We're going to talk about more of that in segment number 2. We're going to get to the other side of the depth chart, talk about any little surprises, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what happened today at camp with Brian Thomas Jr., Ventrell Miller, a 1st and a 2nd year guy that actually are looking the part in practice. So we'll get to that here in just a second when we continue with the depth chart in segment number 2 on Locked On Jaguars. First, got to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Gametime. You ever waited until the last minute to buy something or to do anything and somebody hits you with that old thing that says your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my part? You know where you'll never hear that at? You'll never hear that with Gametime. First, you download the app, right? You can buy tickets to baseball, football. You can buy tickets to anything, concerts, comedy shows, plays, whatever. If it's an event and they sell tickets, you can get them at Gametime. But here's the thing. They focus on and they specialize in last-minute deals. where you could save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, whatever. All right. They also have flash deals and zone deals. The main thing you got to understand is it's never too late. Even if the event has already started, Gametime will take care of you. You got to just take the guesswork out of buying tickets, especially Major League Baseball tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code. I'm going to spell it for you. LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets. And I'm going to tell you how to spell it. LOCKEDONNFL. All right. Last minute tickets. Lowest price at Gametime. Guaranteed. Rolling along here. Segment number 2 here on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Jaguars. Went out to training camp today. I ain't going to front with you, man. This is my first time out this week. We had a tropical storm come through here the other day, and I don't like trying to run and hide in the rain. And then I got a little hip and a little Achilles situation that, one little slip now can put me out of commission for a minute. So the old man has to be real, real careful about getting caught up in some inclement weather. But it was nice out today. A little drizzling started. I ain't turned into a vampire or nothing. So everything is all good. But we're talking about the depth chart. I went over some of the starters with you and even some of the backups to let you know what is on the unofficial depth chart. I guess they just got to put one out because heck, they got a game this week. So I guess they have to have something for people to look at, right? I don't know who's going to play much. I don't know if this unofficial depth chart is a reflection of guys that are banged up or that aren't able to go, like Dewey Wingard. He's on it. Matter of fact, I'm going to get to it right now. I ain't going to even hold you back. I'm going to tell you exactly who is on this defensive depth chart, and then we'll talk about some of the things that we saw today. Nose tackle, Devon Hamilton. Defensive tackle, Eric Armstead. He hadn't practiced one bit, but they did not sign him to be a backup. Anybody who thought Roy Robertson-Harris was going to start over either one of those guys, I try to tell you that's not going to happen. The only way it happens is if somebody isn't healthy when it's time to go. And right now, Roy Robertson-Harris might get that nod because Eric hasn't practiced, and I don't suspect they'll throw him in a game this weekend without him having at least some full time and pads. Your edge rushers are who you expect them to be, Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker, who's going to have a huge year, in my opinion. All right, so we go Mike Will Sam here at linebacker. All right. Foyesade Oluwakan, of course, was even singled out earlier by defensive coordinator Ryan Neilsen as being just that dude who's kind of an extension of the coaching staff. A super, super professional guy. When you hear people talk about him, you understand why the Jaguars not only signed him, but they extended him in what would have been his last year of his deal. He's just an all-out professional and really a testament and a credit to something that they did really, really good in free agency. Chad Muma is listed as your starting will or Devin Lloyd. This is the part I find really, really interesting. Everybody talking about Devin Lloyd and the offseason he's had, and Devin Lloyd says he's playing the mic and this, that, and the third. Well, Chad Muma is listed as the starter at Mike and Will. So that tells me that Chad Muma is the second linebacker on this team with Foy Oluwakan if they had to do it today. Now, at Sam, the backup is Yasir Abdullah. That's number 2 on the depth chart. At Mike, behind Foy Oluwakan is Ventrell Miller. So it's a little bit confusing, but it looks like 2 guys are competing for the Sam spot. It's Chad Muma and it's Devin Lloyd. One of them's going to start. The backup, I believe, at Mike linebacker will be Ventrell Miller. And then if they keep a 5th linebacker, I think Yasir Abdullah is going to get in there, man. He's right there, number 2 on the depth chart. I was talking to somebody today, and it's almost like, damn, does he really have a position? And I said, you know what? He'd be a perfect Sam linebacker in a normal 4-3 situation. Other than that, I think you have to watch out for Caleb Johnson. That's the other. If they keep 5, that's the other player that I'll be watching out for. Now, the secondary, it's a little different too because they listed 2 corners. I told anybody who listened to me, Ronald Darby is going to start. Everybody who thought that I was just being a Seminole homer is crazy. But it'll be Ronald Darby and Tyson Campbell, right? I think if they walked out there today. Here's the kicker. Andre Sisco is listed at strong safety, which they're playing split, so I don't think it really matters very much unless they do something that causes them to end up in single high. I think that will always be Andre Cisco. The free safety is listed at Darnell Savage. Darnell Savage was brought in here to be the slot corner or the nickel corner, but the nickel corner here is listed as Christian Braswell, who's played well. Maybe it's a play on positions. Maybe it's just the versatility, the mix and matching. Maybe what happens is you get Ronald Darby and Tyson Campbell out first. You get Andre Cisco and Antonio Johnson, who is listed right behind Cisco at strong safety. Andrew Wingard's listed on here as a free safety. So I don't know if that necessarily really matters because Andre Cisco has been a free safety the whole time he was here, but maybe those things are kind of interchangeable and they really don't matter as much. You know, Cam Little's the kicker. Logan Cook's the punter. Matisic is the long snapper. Devin Duvernay is considered the punt and the kickoff returner. Tank Bigsby is a reserve kick returner. Parker Washington is the other punt returner. So there you go. Hope I didn't confuse you all talking about this depth chart and where guys are listed to line up and how they're listed to line up. I will tell you this, though. Ventrell Miller. I'm going to get to Brian Thomas Jr. in segment number 3. Ventrell Miller. I was sitting there singing his praises, and lo and behold, somebody else started singing his praises, and then somebody they confirmed it or they concurred that the dude is just a really good guy, and it shows you why head coaches don't give up on guys, especially when guys have been injured. Maybe it was just a matter of getting totally healthy from college and then getting with a strength and conditioning program for a pro, taking a year, getting whatever you had to get fixed. And now Ventrell Miller is running around, and I'm telling you, while he's not big, he's listed at 6 feet, 232 pounds. He looks like he is really, really smart, man. He plays like a veteran. You ever play basketball against older people and they pick and set you up with ball screens and made behind the back passes, and you're like, man, where you get all this stuff from? That's how he plays football. He always finds himself around the ball. He always ends up being exactly where he needs to be. I don't think the eye in the sky lies at all about Ventrell Miller. And he's going to be a better addition, I believe, to this team than somebody I know very well, and that's Shaq Quarterman, who's no longer here with the Jaguars. But I just think Ventrell Miller is actually going to be, for this team, a better player for this system. I think he's quick. I think he diagnoses everything very, very fast. He gets there. He knows how to navigate his way through traffic. And I just think he's always around the football. And you cannot tell coaches enough about guys like that. So that's why I believe he is on his way. We're going to talk about Brian Thomas Jr. having a day, getting deep, fighting for 50-50 balls. Sleepy still makes things look easy. We're going to also hear some of the things that he said when he talked to the media after practice. Prior to that, though, I want to let you guys know and thank you for making Locked On Jaguars your first listen. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. Get daily insights to the best fantasy draft strategies so you can win your league this season. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, segment number 3 coming up here in just a second on Locked On Jaguars. It's all about LinkedIn, man. If you have a small business, you need to staff it. You ain't alone. Somebody out there can really help you do it because they helped me twice, and that's LinkedIn, man. I'm telling you, it's not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find qualified professionals that are right for the role, and that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. I got in touch with LinkedIn. They helped me staff a barbershop. This is 10, 12 years ago, and I haven't looked back since. No regrets whatsoever. You can do the exact same thing. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars, where it's your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. Crowd got a nice Brian Thomas Jr. moment. They got it a few times today. They got it in like a sort of a 9-on-7 or a 7-on-9 situation. And then when they went live, they got it 2 or 3 times, and they saw him fighting and battling for the ball downfield. It just so happens that the team was coming towards the north end zone. I think that's it's the south end zone. Look at me, not knowing north and south. Coming towards the south end zone, and that's where the fans are located, away from the Miller Electric Center brand new practice facility. And they saw Trevor Lawrence cork a couple of balls downfield. He crunked it up, man, while it was deep. And you could anticipate it coming. A couple of times, Brian Thomas Jr. had gotten behind the corner. I think one time he got behind Ronald Darby and was able to secure a ball in traffic with Darby trying to knock it out. He might want to use his hands a little bit, but this time he actually used hands, a combination of hands and pass to secure the ball in traffic. A couple of other times he got deep and got behind people, and he caught the ball with his hands, effortlessly looking as if he was actually he wasn't going to get to it. But he has another gear, and he did it with his fingertips. And then the last play that I saw when I was standing by Tom McManus, the former Jaguar linebacker, go get the mic, Tom, meathead as we call him. We were standing there, and they're coming right to us. In fact, we backed up a little bit because we were down there by ourselves. And it was a deep ball down the seam where Brian Thomas Jr. had gotten behind his man, and his man had sort of passed him off. And then on the other side of the seam where Brian Thomas Jr. had sort of got behind his man, but was in between his guy and Antonio Johnson, all of a sudden you see both of them converge and try to go get the ball, and it was a fight. It was a fight, right? Not a fist fight, but a battle for the ball. It's a situation where you could say both guys made a really, really good play, right? Both guys made a good play. Brian Thomas Jr. went up and actually tried to really, really secure the ball, and he fought for it. But Antonio Johnson, all 6'2" of Antonio Johnson, he made a really, really good play, and he was able to knock the ball out. No harm, no foul. Nobody did anything wrong. Both guys did every single thing right. GM Trent Barker was right there. You didn't hear what he said. He was saying something, but I'm sure what he was saying was a great effort by both players. And Brian Thomas Jr. actually talked to the media today after practice, had some things to say. Do not have that audio for that, but your boy will read it for you. I can read, right? We're going to read some of the questions, some of the things that he was asked. He was asked how this last week has been for his progression. I quote, "I feel like it's been pretty good just coming out here each day and trying to do my best, put my best foot forward and work hard each day, every day, get better, but I feel like it's going pretty good." So there you go. Brian Thomas Jr. basically saying he thinks everything is ready to go. They asked him whether he was ready to play somebody else other than his own team. I'm going to quote him. He said, "Yeah, finally ready to get out there and get back on the field for the first time, first preseason game. Yeah, it's been a great feeling just to be back out there." On how his chemistry is with Trevor Lawrence and how it's grown over the last 12 days, he says he feels like it's growing each and every day, getting better the more reps you get. They're both new to each other, but the reps, the experience that you get with those reps, it feels like it's growing each and every day. On how he felt like to haul in a touchdown pass at practice day, he said it felt great, quote unquote, just to be back in the end zone and get a good catch like that. But I mean, just going out there each and every day, playing my hardest. So you see, it's all about understanding his position, understanding where he is right now, and understanding that he has a lot of improvement to do. And that's something that a young player you should never feel like you've arrived, especially he knows he's green. He knows that, you get close enough to him, you might still smell Similac because he's an NFL infant, if you will. He's a rookie, right? But this is a guy that's taking it in stride. He's learning from both Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk. I'm going to quote him. He said they've been very influential on him, just coming in and helping me out each day explaining to me how certain routes, how the quarterback wants certain routes to go and how they want them to be ran. I will tell you this, when you watch individual drills, he always seemingly does everything the correct way. And then when he is corrected by Coach Chad Hall, he absolutely comes back and he gets an attaboy the next time. So I think he is a very, very fast learner. He was asked about how challenging it is to learn the new offense, and I'll quote him. He says it's very real, just having to be able to play all three positions, being able to play inside, outside, and just do it all. They move you around, try to get the best look for you, get the best matchup for you. So I would say it's very challenging, but just coming out here and doing it each and every day, you'll get better at it. You'll get better and better. I like the fact that he is so aware. He's very, very aware that he's not a finished product, that he has a lot of work to do, that he's going to, get it figured out. He's going to sit here, and you have to acknowledge first that you got a lot of work to do. And now that he's acknowledged that, I think what the kid is just going to do is just take it day by day. He's easy, man. I call him sleepy, but I might call him easy because he is sort of that unflappable dude, right? He will make a big play and you'll see him be happy about it, but he won't get overly excited about it because he realizes that he has to continue to do it. So there's a theme that's going around. Whether you listen to head coach, whether you listen to the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, quarterback, or a rookie like Brian Thomas Jr., the theme is get better every single day. And it might seem like a little bit of a cliche, but it isn't. Talking about a touchdown today, he says, I got to keep getting better. So that means he wants to get one tomorrow. And he wants to string these things together. And hopefully what that'll end up doing is he'll find a niche early in the season, even if he doesn't just kill the route tree, even if he doesn't just wear other teams out early on, getting 9 and 10 catches. I think those 4 or 5 looks, or those 2 or 3 times where they intentionally try to get him the ball because he's so explosive, I think he has a lot of game speed that's really, really going to show up, and it's probably going to catch some people by surprise. I would go and venture and don't be surprised if in the first 3 weeks, Brian Thomas Jr. has a touchdown. And I'm talking about a touchdown that comes from a long, long ways, either running catch or catching somebody slipping, thinking he's running fast and he's gliding past them, because he just looks like a dude that has a little bit of a different gear. Not quite as bulky as some of the veterans. Gabe Davis is a big, thick guy. Christian Kirk is compact built. He's not quite as, you can tell he doesn't have that NFL beef program sort of physique yet, but it's coming. It's coming. He's like he's just like this greyhound, man. You can just tell that there's so much athleticism inside of him, and it's going to be coming out. We're going to have more from Jaguars training camp. We'll do a mailbag tomorrow, answer some of your questions if we can. If we have not answered them already. If we have answered them already, I'll tell you, I already answered that, and I'll tell you what podcast to go listen to. But other than that, man, this is the spot for you to get all things training camp. Shout out to all the local media that are putting on for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I usually see everybody in the house. They're doing a good job putting content out for Jaguar fans. That's the most important thing, is that you know where you can go. One of them's Locked On Jaguars, and if you have to go somewhere else, if you want a little bit more, then fine, do that too. But we'll be right here every day for you here on Locked On Jaguars. Make sure you do me a favor, man. First of all, we appreciate you and thank you for making us your first listen. Now I'm going to tell you where to make your second listen. Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. Get daily insight to the best fantasy draft strategies you can win your league with this season. You can find the link to Locked On Fantasy Football in your descriptions, so you don't need to search. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Glad I could give you a report from training camp. We'll do more as camp goes on. We'll try to get out there tomorrow to give it to you. Normally I don't go on Thursday and Friday, but we'll see if we get out there tomorrow for a little bit, give you a little something, a little camp knowledge for those that can't make it out there. But we will drop a podcast for you, like I say, mailbag, and then Friday we're going to get ready for game day, tell you some of the games to watch, and then immediately following the game, we will do a postcast from my office here once I get back from the stadium. Till then, you guys make sure you take care of each other. I'll do the same here on Locked On Jaguars. See you tomorrow.